Hi guys, we're going to be making an ube cake and it's going to be very straightforward to make. Ube tastes like vanilla and white chocolate. Now I'm going to be flattening out the cake and decorating it, and then you can decorate it along with. So what you're going to need is 3 egg yolks. You're going to need 35 ml of oil, 45 ml of milk, 65 grams of white granulated sugar, 1/4 spoon of ube extract, 40 grams of cornstarch and 40 grams of white all-purpose flour. And obviously you need your tool so you can measure things up. We're starting with dropping 3 egg yolks in, and we're going to blend that together. But you don't have to blend it to a pale consistency, as you will see towards the middle of the video. Now I'm going to add in the 45 ml of milk, and this is full fat milk. 35 ml of vegetable oil is going in, and I'm making sure that's well combined. Next in is 40 grams of cornstarch, and obviously sift that through so you don't have lumps in your batter. Make sure it's well combined, and also scrape the sides as well, and that makes sure that everything's well combined. Now I've got 1/4 spoon of ube extract, and you want some good quality stuff, so make sure you do that. Blend that in there as well. Make sure you scrape the bowls and towards the bottom. Make sure it's well combined, and just do this at medium speed. Give it a clean down if you're making a mess. Using a balloon whisk, because I'm going to use a stand mixer, but you can use a normal hand whisk. There's 3 egg whites there, and now I'm going to add 65 grams of granulated sugar. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a stand mixer, make sure it goes foamy, then add in little batches of bits of sugar, and then when it gets to a thicker consistency, add in the next bit, and when it gets to meringue stage, I finish off, and then slow it down to take out all the air bubbles. But you still want it to be fluffy, but it needs to be like medium to stiff peaks. And do not put all the sugar in all at once, because it will just not work properly. Now I'm scraping it to make sure there's no like wet egg at the bottom, and I'm making sure everything's well combined and it's at medium to stiff peaks. Now my meringue is done. I'm checking the consistency of the spatula, making sure it's not wet and it's going to drop. At this point here, you should add in your actual all-purpose flour, which you're doing there. Sift it in, and then you want to mix this in to just combine, not well combine, because you don't want to have too much gluten, because when you do that, that's when your cake's going to come out hard. So keep putting the meringue in different stages, so make sure it's just well combined. It's easier to use a balloon whisk rather than using a spatula, but a spatula will scrape the bottoms afterwards and scrape the sides of the bowls, just to make sure everything's incorporated. So when it's in the oven, it will come out and it will be perfect. So just make sure that everything is nicely mixed in, but not too over mixed. Using a balloon whisk is just easier, and it doesn't over mix too much. So I would say if you're going to mix it for about maybe 30 seconds to 45 seconds. Now get your 6-inch pan, and this has got parchment paper at the bottom. You don't need to put anything to the sides. After it comes out the oven, it will definitely come off by the sides. Bang it, so drop it down on the table 3 times to get rid of any air bubbles, and obviously use a stick and go around, make sure all the air bubbles are taken out. And then what you want to do is get a pan that's big enough to put boiling water in, but you can put 60 to 75 degrees water in there and it'll be fine. But just make sure you've got about 1 inch of water in it. And then once you do that, then it will go into the oven. Now I'm using a balloon whisk because I'm about to do the ube cream. So I've got 480 ml of double cream, or heavy cream in American. And I'm gonna sift 100 grams of white powdered sugar, or icing sugar. And I'm just making sure I'm getting all the lumps out. And this gives it a good mix, and it's not too sweet as well. It's perfect. Now I'm using my stand mixer now, and I've got to mix it until I get to a thick consistency. And I've just got it on number 4. And if you've got a KitchenAid, it's basically slow to medium speed. Now I'm going to put in half of a teaspoon of ube extract, and that goes in there, and you just mix that till it's well combined. And as you can see, it's basically stiff peaks. And I'm gonna put this into a piping bag. Now I'm just gonna use a knife and get the cake out. I'm not too worried about the top because I'm gonna cut the top off anyway and make this into 3 layers. It's a very pretty cake, almost looks like it's ombre. And it's really soft and fluffy. And you could use you could use syrup as well, and keep the cakes nice and soft. So it's 100 milliliters of boiling water and 100 grams of sugar, white granulated sugar, and then do it that way. Now what I'm doing is I'm spatulating, spatulating, is that even a word? I'm just putting the cream on a thin layer on the first layer of the cake, and then I'm adding the second layer, and then the third layer will be next. And you just want to keep this so it's all nice and even. You can use an offset spatula if you want to, but I'm just using this because I'm used to doing stuff like this anyway. And you make sure you just put the cakes down, push them down a little bit to make sure they don't slip about. And you shouldn't have this problem if your cream is nice and thick and it's kind of sticky. It'll be perfect. So when you cut this cake, you'll also see the gaps between it. It looks so nice. Now I'm literally using the same cream before I do put it into a piping bag, and I'm about to scrape the sides and then obviously flatten out the top. This is only 1 layer. So I'm just flattening it out now, so with offset spatula. So I'm getting the sides. So when you get the sides, you come in from the out to in, and then you just go really lightly. Normally you would scrape the actual offset spatula as well, just to make sure that you're not getting anything. It's very different from Swiss meringue or Italian meringue or American buttercream. It's definitely completely different. It's a lot more harder to obviously work with. It's a bit like a white chocolate ganache or chocolate ganache. But yeah, if you can get it going, it's really nice. It's not too sweet as well, and it's not gritty. It's very soft cake. So it's in the middle of like a Japanese or Genoese or even a chiffon sort of angel cake, that sort of style. Very soft indeed. So now I'm just flattening it out still with an offset spatula, making sure everything's smooth and even. And then once I've done this, I'll probably go over the sides again. And on the sides, I'm going to scrape the sides down again, so it produces an edge, and then I can use the offset spatula again. Obviously I've cut past that, so I'm using a 1M Wilton tip, and I've got my piping bag there, and I'm going to start putting all the rest of the ube cream inside there. So it's got ube cake, which is made by ube extract, and then obviously ube in natural cream. Now this, you will have a lot of cream left over depending if you're going to do the sides as well, but you're going to see like the design that I'm going to do right now. Very simple little roses around the top of the cake. So I'm just scraping that off, and make sure that you don't use the crumbs that you've used for the crumb coat on the cake, because that will show in your roses or whatever design you're going to do on the cake. So now I'm just making sure the air bubbles are taken out. Now I'm going to proceed and put the roses on top. Now the problem is, if you don't make sure your piping bag is like evaporated of all the air, the problem is it's going to not look very good when you're piping the roses on. So what I did is I piped some roses on the top, and then I piped more roses on there, so it looked like a bouquet of roses. So you should see it in a second. There you go. Can you see that? So you got a bouquet of roses on top, and it just looks stunning.